the great tragedies of testing cancer drugs on animals is that they may work well on the animals, but not so well for the human that it's intended for. But as we progress in medical technology more, we're doing more treatment based on one person's own DNA. And that is highlighted in this story about creating a lung out of someone's own cancer cells and using it to treat them with appropriate chemo, which I think is super interesting. Let's take a look at the little picture of the miniature lung created. So what would happen is a cancer patient would have their lung biopsied. Doctors would grow a miniature lung out of those cells, and they would attach it to a bioreactor that circulates nutrient fluid through the tissue's blood vessels and pump air in and out of it. It's 0.5 cubic centimeters. It's very small, but with precise control over how fast and deep the mini lung breathes, the result is a pretty accurate mini lung mimicking the person's functions, which is very interesting. So they're hoping that in the future that this technique could be used for every lung cancer patient. And what we do is you would test chemotherapy drugs on this lung that's just made of this person's DNA, made of the person's cells, and be able to very accurately create a treatment option that would work for this person in particular.
Yeah, now we had talked about something like this before, back when we were doing the IBM story.
This is why I picked
They
story.
were saying that in the future, and now present, is that we will tailor all treatments to the person's biology, individual DNA, and this is a step in that direction. Mm-hmm. The lousy thing about cancer is that we'll never cure cancer. Cancer is a big, wide range of things that, you know, one solution doesn't fix all, or even some. Mm-hmm. It's very personalized. So with this sort of treatment, you know, a lot of cancer treatment is basically finding what works for the patient. And with this, we can run all those tests on a mini lung rather than trying out drugs that may not work on your lungs while you're getting worse and worse
Trying
and worse.
and failing over,
Yes.
like the Dr.
Failing
House
and even
method.
making things worse because these drugs are not great for you.
Right.
They are poison.
So yeah, this is specifically to see which chemotherapy would be the best option for your specific biology, your specific cancerous cells.
It's interesting to me that they felt the need to create an actual lung as opposed to just taking the biopsy and using that. So you can see the function.
Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
Let's see how it affects the lung
Right.
and will affect the person who has the real lung this is based on.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the nature of cancer is that it's these cells that are producing too much. Mm-hmm. So if you have a healthy lung that's made out of the cancer cells, then I wonder what the effectiveness is.
It's not a healthy lung. It's made entirely of cancer cells.
Right, but then, so where you have healthy lung cells in your lungs, if I create a whole lung based off of my cancer cells, mm-hmm. is the goal to kill the cancer cells? Or is it to see the function of the lung with a cancer cell attached to it?
I think the goal of this is to create as close of a perfect model of the lung as possible and finding the best option. So it's not necessarily curing the cancer, maybe just treating the cancer or working to cure the cancer.
And remember, cancer's not an invading body, and
Right.
it is you. It is the growth of your cells out of control. Mm-hmm. So essentially, your lung is what could be cancer cells someday. They are, you know, accelerating that process by showing a lung that's entirely cancer cells.
Yeah, but when the treatment is administered, we're going to have to create something that isolates the cancerous cell, because you can't just like dissolve your lungs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Not with that attitude.
So, but my question is, like, is it effective to create mini organs for each cancer patient, or is that just adding on to the bills that they're going to have to pay eventually? Or
I think
is
this is probably a very safe way of testing different
mm-hmm.
drugs and therapies without harming the human being, who probably does not have time on their side as the cancer becomes worse.
I feel as though if you can afford procedures like this, money becomes no option when
you're
doing that sort of thing. Or maybe we'll get free healthcare someday. That would be great.
Oh, what a novel concept.
This is being tested in Germany right now. It may become more prevalent soon. We hope we'll see. Let us know what you think below of creating a tiny lung made out of cancer cells for the effect of treating cancer.